The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well, and thank you for joining us this evening. We at Horizon Inspection Software are excited to, one second here, the screen is playing a little bit finicky with us today. There we go. Okay, sorry about that folks. We at Horizon Inspection Software are excited to host HomeBinder tonight for a special joint presentation on how to increase agent referrals, decrease complaints, and most importantly, spend less time doing it than ever before. Now, for those that are unable to stay till the end, or later want to watch a replay, this presentation is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel as of tomorrow morning. A link will be included in our follow-up email, so stay tuned. We've got a lot of information to review, and we'll do our best to have everything wrapped up over the next 60 minutes. Speaking of we, introductions are in order. Now, my name is Brian, and I'm with Horizon Support and Training. I have the distinct honor of introducing our four guest speakers tonight. First up is Alan Carson, President of Carson Dunlop, as well as Horizon Inspection Software. How are you doing tonight, Alan?
I'm doing great, Brian, thanks.
Excellent. Next, we have Jack Huntress, founder of HomeBinder. How are you doing tonight, Jack?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having us.
We're glad to have you here. We also have Alec Ahi, Head of Sales for HomeBinder. How are you doing, Alec?
Doing excellent. Very excited to be here tonight with you guys.
Perfect. And last but certainly not least, we have Jillian Shiflett, Head of Customer Success for HomeBinder. How are you doing, Jillian?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and I'm excited to share a bunch with you guys tonight.
Fantastic. I'm glad everyone's doing well and just as excited as we are to go over tonight's presentation. Before we get to tonight's agenda, I always like to take a moment to explain the webinar control panel in case you haven't attended one of our sessions before. Now, the webinar control panel you should see on the right-hand side of your screen, similar to this. At any point, you can expand or minimize the control panel by clicking this orange button. With the control panel expanded, you have access to an audio and question section. For audio, you can choose between computer audio and listen through your speakers. Alternatively, you can select phone call and use the toll-free number to dial in and listen. For questions, you're encouraged to ask your questions by typing them into the question box and clicking send. Your questions will be stored until the Q&A. Although I will be unable to provide technical support during the presentation, if you experience any issues, please notify me and I'll follow up with you after the presentation. Let's take a brief look at our agenda. The first portion of our presentation will be about HomeBinder, where Jack and Alec will tag team to explain the vision and idea behind HomeBinder, the product itself, and how it can be leveraged to benefit your business. They'll also show you how easy it is to integrate with Horizon. We've got a lot of cool updates coming. We'll then have Jillian share her insights into dealing with disgruntled customers, learn tried and true tactics to conflict resolution, appeasing disgruntled customers, and how to make a win out of every situation. Of course, Alan will be here to share his insights along the way, and knowing him, likely a question or two for our guest this evening. And as always, folks, we'll have time for your questions at the end. Before we pass the reins over to Jack and the HomeBinder crew, do you have anything you'd like to add, Alan?
Well, I just wanted to welcome the HomeBinder team tonight and express my appreciation for them being here. Jack and I have chatted for a long time now about HomeBinder, and it's funny, a lot of folks may not know that back in the early 2000s, Carson Dunlop built a program called Manage My Home, which was in a lot of ways the precursor to HomeBinder. And somewhat ironically, we sold it to Sears Holding Company in New York, and they completely missed the point of it. So it has kind of gone away. And so I'm thrilled to see all the terrific stuff that HomeBinder is doing. And I also wanted to take just a second to talk about something. We've been going back and forth a little bit recently and talking to our development team. So I wanted to let everyone know that hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we are going to be able to add the title page photo migrating straight over to HomeBinder from Horizon, and also the system and appliance inventory data. So hopefully that'll make it a little easier for the folks using Horizon and HomeBinder. So that is coming soon. Keep an eye out and we will let you know. And I better be quiet and let these folks get on with their presentation. So hand it back to you, Brian.
Perfect. We'll pass it on over to Jack. and let's learn about some HomeBinder.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alan. I hope we can do a just job here carrying the torch forward with this idea of a home management app. And we second sort of your effort around taking the steps to increase the integration so more information is coming from Horizon to HomeBinder. We get lots of requests for that. And I know a lot of the people that are already using this integration right now are going to be thrilled to hear it. So I think Alec and I just can't wait to send out a blast message tomorrow to a number of folks to let them know it's on the way. My name, again, is Jack Huntress, founder of HomeBinder. We're now in our 7th year as of last week. Sometimes it's hard to think about how quickly that time passes. As Alan and Brian mentioned, I'm going to be doing just a bit of a kickoff here. Alec is going to take us into the product and talk about how it works, how to leverage it in your business, how to do the integration with Horizon, of course, talk about some of the logistics, administrative stuff, and pricing. And really happy that Jillian from our team is joining tonight to talk about the disgruntled customer content that she's been working on for a number of years, and I won't steal any of her thunder around that. Let me just talk at a high level about HomeBinder for a second, if I may. I went to go buy a home in 2007, and I went to a number of open houses. And at one particular open house on the kitchen table was an 8-inch stack of everything about the home, down to paint colors by room and details about warranties on the appliances and contractors they had hired. And it got me thinking about the value of this stack of information if we were to go buy the home, and we in fact did buy that home, and why it doesn't happen more in real estate transactions. You think about applications in our lives and they exist for pretty much everything, but it's almost strange that for the single largest purchase, investment, asset in our life, there's not yet an app for it to help us organize and manage it. And that's fundamentally what HomeBinder is all about. But also, right alongside that is this concept that when a homeowner goes to sell their home, they have the ability to promote and showcase the type of information that they've loaded into their HomeBinder to create that experience for the next buyer, much like I experienced when I went to go buy my home, where I saw value in it. It made me want to buy the home even more because I felt like I was going to be a better owner for it. And it made me perceive higher value in the home itself. We hope in the presentation you'll hear over the next 15 or 20 minutes is you'll get a good sense of what HomeBinder is all about, certainly how to maximize the value of HomeBinder in your business. And what's great about this integration with Horizon is that administratively, from an operational standpoint, you'll see how easy it is after about a 15-minute setup to create HomeBinders for your clients. It won't take any time out of your day. But the one thing that I really want to emphasize is that although we lean heavily on these integrations to make life easy, but we can't forget about the marketing angle of HomeBinder and how to your potential home buyer customers and to the agents you work with, you really need to leverage all of the marketing tools we've built to make sure you're maximizing the value in your business. And then, of course, great ways to handle customers that call upset or angry. As I said before, our whole thing with HomeBinder is that we're in it for the long haul. We think about a decade or more in terms of home journeys, where HomeBinder reports become part of future home sales. You wouldn't buy a home without a HomeBinder, and that data can go into a new binder for the new owner, and they can continue on in their ownership. That said, I'm going to turn it over to Alec now to talk a little bit about the app itself, how it works, and lots of detail about how to maximize it in your business. Alec, over to you. I'll stay the driver, so just let me know how I can advance the slides.
Sounds great. Hi, everybody. My name is Alec. I run all the onboarding for HomeBinder. So I'm going to take you guys through the product side, and I'll make sure that I stay as interesting as possible. So like Jack said, HomeBinder in a nutshell is an online home management platform that you can kind of think about as like a digital 3-ring binder for the client. So what you're seeing on your screen here is an example of a home dashboard for the client. And all the tabs that you see on the left-hand side, you can think about as like tabs in a 3-ring binder, essentially all the different tools that they have access to. So they can do things like store project details and renovations, to contractor contact information, all the way down to the more detailed things like paint colors by room. And a big center point of our product is our maintenance reminder system to keep their clients, keep your guys' clients on top of home maintenance. As I'm sure you know, doing home inspections day in and day out, the #1 issue at most inspections is deferred maintenance, especially now with millennials making up so much of the market. So as a part of HomeBinder, you have the ability to customize a unique maintenance schedule for your business and your geography to send out co-branded maintenance reminder emails with the agents that work with you guys on that transaction. So now, not only are you keeping the client on top of home maintenance, but you're also bringing every agent that you work with free property-specific marketing. Now, agents are so used to hearing the same message over and over again from inspectors that they can do this type of inspection, they can do that type of inspection, they're certified in this and that. What they're not used to hearing is how you, the inspector, are going to tangibly help them grow their business as well. There's a ton of different components that are built into HomeBinder. Not only is it a digital 3-ring binder for the client with a maintenance reminder system, but we also have a new homeowner guide that's built in as well as a online all-electronic home reference manual to help them in their home ownership. We have appliance recall alerts that are built into the system as well. The nice part about that, with Alan's message that he delivered earlier, is we're super excited to be able to pre-populate all of that appliance information from your inspection report to automatically get it enrolled in the HomeBinder's recall service. We also have an integration set up with Repair Pricer as well, which I'll talk about here in a couple slides. You can recommend home pros through HomeBinder. We can even support things on the pre-listing side with the unique use of the HomeBinder seller report. And we can even help you to explore annual property reviews as a way of bringing value to your clients beyond the inspection to go back to their home every year to give them the house an assessment. When any inspector sets up a HomeBinder account for a client, you're giving them the premium lifetime version of HomeBinder, so they have it for free as long as they're in the house. Now, this would otherwise cost them $36 a year or over $300 of value that you're bringing them. So they'll never pay anything for the service. Another important thing to note is that all client information will be stored internally. So under no circumstance will they ever be solicited by us or any kind of third-party service. We know at the end of the day that's very important to inspectors, and our job is to help clients, not to annoy them. Moving into a couple other really cool features that homeowners really like. In HomeBinder, we have the ability to do capital expense reporting for clients to help them with their taxes, which is a very cool feature. We also have home inventory built in so people can keep track of their home inventory. God forbid something happens like fire, theft, or extreme weather circumstances. And we even make things really easy for the homeowner to update their HomeBinder without actually having to put in the information on their own. Each client receives their own custom email address where they can forward us a receipt, take an image, of a paint color that they used, an engineering drawing that was sent by an architect, a note about a maintenance item being completed, and our system will automatically put that into their binder for them. So let's talk about Repair Pricer real quick. For those of you that don't know about Repair Pricer, they provide cost estimates on everything in the inspection report in less than 24 hours at a 98% accuracy on a per zip code basis. Now, Repair Pricer was only working in the state of Texas until about a year ago, and now they're in all 50 states and up in Canada, and this is really solving a core fundamental problem in the agent's day-to-day. I'm happy to go into more detail with it with you guys on a separate call, but definitely a tool that's worth looking into to really help on the marketing front, winning new agents into your network. So why should you use HomeBinder? HomeBinder is a very effective marketing tool for your business with real estate agents, and I'm going to talk about how that's automated here in a second with Horizon. It's a great way to offer a value-added service after the inspection for truly the next generation of home buyer, millennials especially, that now make up 50% of the market. And it also increases your ability to win more referrals through networks of home pros as well as real estate agents and bringing them value with every inspection. So let's talk really quick about using HomeBinder with Horizon. We know that you guys are very busy in your day-to-day, and the last thing that we wanted to do is have you add a tool that adds time to your day. So we were able to get things integrated with Horizon, thanks to the great team over there, where it's super simple. It's just a matter of copying and pasting 3 fields from your Horizon account into your from your HomeBinder account into your Horizon account, which is the API key, route name, and template ID. Once that information is put into Horizon, all you have to do to set up a binder for a client is click on one button that says Create HomeBinder. That's it. Everything else is automatic from there forward, so it's not going to add any time to your day. When the binder creates, your inspection report can automatically be loaded in. Your default maintenance schedule and other items from your template in HomeBinder will also come over. Your branding, as well as all your agent's information and branding, will also come over into the binder. Any documents, checklists, or other collateral can be included in the binder, and your client will receive a very simple email invite to give them access to their HomeBinder account, where all they have to do is click on a button and choose their password, and they have HomeBinder for free forever. So really quick on pricing. Obviously, at the end of the day, we all have to know how much things cost. So we keep pricing very simple with HomeBinder. It ends up being around $2.35 a home, and we have a few different tiered plans that's a flat monthly fee. So you can see the table below. Our first 3 tiers are $16, $49, and $54. And that's for anybody doing between 0 to 50, 50 to 200, and 200 to 300. Now, this is just a flat monthly fee. We don't have service fees, we don't have startup fees, and absolutely no contract whatsoever. So you're never locked into a plan. And our job at the end of the day is to make this a very easy ROI for you. If you're doing above 300 inspections, it's very easy. We just take 300, multiply it by 235, divide it by 12 for a flat monthly cost. Now, for those of you that are up in Canada, we do bill in Canadian dollars. So I wanted to make sure that I got that in there today as well. In terms of next steps here and getting set up, there's a couple things that you can do. You can go to homebinder.com/inspectors, click on Start Free Trial, and that will load you in to get into your HomeBinder account. So it's just a matter of putting in your company name, email, password, and most importantly, your Horizon code, the Horizon affiliate code. If you put in the Horizon affiliate code, you can get a Home Depot or Amazon gift card worth the value of your first month's payment up to $300 if you do sign up for HomeBinder to give it a try by the 1st of May. So definitely make sure you put in that affiliate code. Other steps in terms of getting started, not only can you go to the website, but I highly recommend sending me an email or scheduling a time with me to go through a one-on-one demo. We like to take every inspector that comes on board with HomeBinder through a full walkthrough so that you know going in, all your questions are answered, you know how everything works, we can get it integrated with Horizon for you, talk about marketing materials and how to best implement HomeBinder in your business. So I am happy to speak with anybody anytime to cover things more specifically for your business. I think that that's probably pretty good on my end. Thank you, guys.
That's excellent, Alec. Thank you very much. I just want to add one more thing that we're really excited to announce. It was the idea of our good friends over at Horizon, and it is that everybody who's attending tonight's webinar is going to be entered into effectively a random drawing that Brian will be doing during the Q&A session to get HomeBinder for free for an entire year, for the next 12 months. And we'll do that drawing kind of during the Q&A session at the end, and then at the very end of the webinar we'll announce the person's name and certainly reach out to them over the next couple of days to make sure they know how to get rolling, provided they want to take advantage of that. So we're thrilled to do that and excited to make that part of the call tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Jillian right now. And Jillian, please start out with give everybody a little bit of background to yourself and how this became such an important topic to you and you became so well versed in it.
Great, thank you, Jack. Yes, my name is Jillian, and I am so excited to be speaking with you guys tonight. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I worked in the inspection industry for just shy of 3 years and had some exposure prior to that with a degree in psychology. So I've always been fascinated with why people feel the way they do and react the way they do, especially in stressful situations. And so a lot of this content is adapted from an international negotiator named William Ury. So I do want to give him credit, and we'll get started with the abbreviated 5-step strategy for client complaints. So we all know that the majority of client claims have no merit. They're outside the scope of the inspection, or honestly, sometimes people are just unhinged and they're not even dealing in reality. And we still have to deal with those even if they have no merit. So how do we do that? So I've developed a very brief 5-step overview. It involves not reacting to the situation, disarming the client, surprising them, that gives you an opportunity to reframe the argument. And then I want to teach you how to make it easy for the client to say yes to you and make it very difficult for them to say no to you. So those may seem like opposing statements, but they're not. So the first step involves our being aware of our natural reactions. I'm going to, throughout this presentation, use one example so that we stay brief, but when someone, especially if you are the business owner, when someone comes to you and they are, in your perception, attacking, it is very easy to want to strike back, give in, or break off the conversation, depending on your personality. And basically these attitudes are, striking back would be that you have more information and you can prove that the client is wrong. Giving in is that you just acquiesce because you just don't want to deal with it. Or breaking off, meaning that you just get out of the conversation because you don't want to deal with it. And none of those reactions are very advantageous for building your brand and for sending people off into the world with a high opinion of what you've worked so hard to build. So we want to suspend those reactions and kind of step away from the situation for just a moment to kind of get some clarity, take the emotion out of it so that we can do the next step, which is to disarm the client. We want to surprise them and get them off balance. And the best way to do that is to sincerely step to their side. And this is more than just being empathetic. That's important, but you actually want to give the client the perception that you actually are on the same team. It's very hard to tear someone down or yell at a person who is actively trying to help you. So the way that we can do that is by listening to them actively, meaning that we're not formulating our answer to whatever they're saying. We're actually just gathering information at this point. We want to acknowledge any points that they make and agree with them wherever we can, never putting ourselves in a position where we agree to anything negative, but we want to agree with how they're feeling. All of this creates a favorable climate for you to then negotiate with them a little bit further in the conversation. So now that we've disarmed them, we've thrown them off balance and we've taken the wind out of their sails a little bit because we're on their side. So why are they still yelling? The next step is to reframe the argument into an opportunity. And that's done by asking problem-solving questions. In relationship to an inspection, it might be, were you able to attend the inspection? Were you able to take the time to read your service agreement? Are you aware of the limits to our liability? These things have to be phrased carefully because we don't want to become argumentative. We also want to be aware of complaint tactics. Most people in a complaint situation use stone walls, attacks, or tricks. And these basically are, stone walls are things like continuing to object and threatening action. One of the most popular is that they're going to contact their attorney. That's one you will test rather than ignore. And you would simply say, yes, ma'am, you're very, it's well within your right to contact an attorney, but unfortunately, once you do that, I'll be unable to help you. And I was really looking forward to finding a way that we could come to a mutual satisfaction on this. But if you want to talk to your attorney, please let me know now and we can end this conversation. They're going to back down because they actually want a resolution in most cases. Attacks and tricks are usually things that you'll ignore. These are things like attacking your person, your personality, your business ethic. Tricks might involve lying and saying that they had spoken with another team member who promised them something. So those are the things that you just don't even pay attention to, because at this stage in the conversation, the goal is to turn the complaint into an opportunity. And the way that we do this is we build them a bridge. Most clients are not going to come to our way of thinking by us dragging them along with us. But if we start from where they are, and I'm going to use this example, I'm going to create empathy and then I'm going to walk with them. So I'm going to say, I can imagine that after the excitement of closing on your home, finding a big issue like this must be so frustrating. This puts you on the same side. Then you can say things like, you know, I understand that this plumbing issue is vital to get taken care of. So let's figure out a way together that we can come to a mutually satisfying solution. You have all the power because in most cases, as we discussed earlier, the problem is outside the scope of the inspection. So anything that you offer to do is over and above what you're required to do. However, you're letting the client know that you're interested in building a relationship with the people in your community, and you want to take care of them where it's appropriate. So you want to establish standards of fairness to help them arrive at a solution that is mutually satisfying for both of you. So by going and doing that, you make it difficult for them to say no when you give some options. You want to bring them to their senses and not to their knees. And what I mean by that is you want to use the facts that you have on your side to educate them and be constructive rather than embarrassing them or proving to them how wrong they are. At this point in the conversation, they've kind of realized that they don't really have much to stand on, but how do they get out of the conversation? If you give them a way out, let's say it is a plumbing issue and it's well outside the scope of the inspection, it's plumbing leak behind the wall. You can say to that client, you know, this plumbing issue is really important and I know it would need to take care of it right away. It is outside the scope of the inspection, but I would be willing, if you agree, I'll send my plumber that I trust over to the home to take a look and I'll pay for the service call so that you don't have to. Would that be agreeable to you? That is a small gesture compared to what it will cost you in business if this person leaves and is unhappy. If they feel, wow, you know, he's really made me understand that this isn't something he has to cover, he's not responsible, but he's still taking this measure, I now feel very favorable towards my home inspector because he's looking out for me and he's really trying to take care of me. You can build a coalition. Let's say it is something that's covered by your warranty. You can actually offer, ma'am, you know, this plumbing issue is very frustrating and I don't want you to have to tell this story again. How about I contact the warranty people on your behalf and give them the full rundown for you? They'll still need to contact you and speak with you, but they'll have the gist of what's going on and you won't have to go through all of this again. Would that be something that would be helpful to you? When they thank you, you then reaffirm the relationship. Yes, ma'am, I'm happy to do that. I'm more interested in taking care of you and building relationships in my community. I live here too, and I'm very interested in making sure that you get taken care of. So in summary, we want to make sure that when we get a complaint, they're all worthy of our time. We don't want to react to them. We want to, by not reacting, disarm the client and get them off their stride so that we have an opportunity to reframe the argument and make it easy for them to say yes to the suggestions we offer and hard for them to say no to any of the suggestions that we offer because all of a sudden it seems like the most logical thing for them to do. So we do have a white paper with all of the strategies written up for your review if you would like to grab that out of the link. Or if you'd like to talk with me further, you can reach me at any of the contact information below, and I'd be happy to go over it with you in detail or talk about specific examples that you might want to visit with me.
Awesome work, Jillian. Thank you very much. And I think, Brian, the way this will be distributed is you obviously won't have to write down this particular link. You'll be able to just click on it in the distributed material at some point in the next 24 to 48 hours, correct?
You got it. The email is going to be sent out tomorrow afternoon. It will contain a link to the recording as well as a link to that as well, so they can access that directly from the email.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Jillian. I appreciate you chiming in. It's a topic I know you're passionate about, and I hope everybody on the call tonight found it valuable. Brian, Alan, where can we take this in terms of questions?
Perfect. Well, we do got quite a few questions here that we'd like to get started with. Alan, do you have a couple you'd like to begin?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the question of data. We get a lot of questions about what happens to client data and report data. What's the permission arrangement? What's required from the inspector? Does the client need to give any permission to HomeBinder access and use the data? Can you fill us in on that a little bit?
Yeah, no, look, it's a really important topic in the world of real estate transactions and certainly home inspection. You know, we've always taken the stance that every decision we make, we should make it with the homeowner pretending one's sitting in an empty chair at a table while we have a meeting. And the reason we do this is because we're in this for the long haul. Anything that's short-sighted around misuse of information or data is not in the best interest of us either. As I said before, we think about our world in a 10-year vision or more to make, because that's about the length of home ownership. We want to see it from the entire cycle go through. So that means we don't share data with any third parties. That means we don't solicit customers for any services. That means we start with the most minimal amount of information from Horizon, really the customer's name, property, address, and email. We, of course, want to put in the agent's information because for many inspectors, that's a big part of the marketing and selling angle. The homeowner owns all the data inside of their binder. Once the binder is transferred to them, they're the only one that has access to it. The inspector, the agent doesn't have any access to that binder going forward. And then when it comes time to sell, should the home seller want to do it, they can choose what they want to make publicly facing in a public report like we showed earlier in the slide deck, where I have my private HomeBinder account. But if I want to promote my home at the point of sale and show, oh, these are all the projects I did and this are details and these are things I'm willing to share, even down to things like paint colors, I control that information as the owner. And so I'm glad you started with that question. I think it's an important one. We certainly take it very seriously. And you know, if anybody has any further questions about it, one-on-one, Alec or I would be happy to dive into it further.
Hey, thank you so much for the answer on that. Kelly has a question here. And if a seller wants an inspection done before a listing, can they still use the HomeBinder service?
Yeah, absolutely. We have really a binary trigger on all binders, meaning that you can create a setting when a binder is set up such that these are binders to be used on the buy side for new homeowners or on the sell side. And when being used on the sell side, the messaging that comes off of HomeBinder to the client is a bit different. It's more like, congratulations that you're thinking about selling your home. We've loaded in the inspection report. Here's what you can do to leverage HomeBinder to help position and sell your home for more money and faster by doing these steps and creating a report that looks like this. So we're seeing more and more of that, I think, around the country. I'm sure from your seat, Alan, you're seeing that there's a greater and greater adoption of sell-side inspections. You know, my take is that the real estate agents have finally realized that they should embrace this idea that the head in the sand approach is probably not the best. And I think that's wonderful. I see lots of that happening right now and hope to see more of it.
Yeah, we're finding that almost 50% of our inspections now are done for sellers. So you're absolutely right. This is, in my opinion, absolutely the future of home inspection.
That's incredible that the ratio is that high already. That's fantastic.
Thank you, Tom, to answer that, Jack. And Charlie has a question here. With being a new home inspector, how much do you think HomeBinder is really going to help me? I'm struggling with agents getting to talk to me. So does this help in that regard? What advice do you have, Jack, by chance, or Alan?
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, Alan, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a new inspector, you're coming into a market where there's likely already other inspectors. So it's really advantageous to put things in place that other inspectors don't have to help set yourself apart. And one of the biggest things for new inspectors is to, of course, set themselves apart to the agents that are in the market. And I truly believe, as well as a lot of other folks that I've talked to that have started a very small business and grown it to something huge, that the way to win more agents is to bring them value. And that's really one of the main value propositions of HomeBinder, is that you bring the agents real value with every time you set up a HomeBinder, because you're giving them branding and keeping them in front of the client throughout the time that they're in the house. So definitely a great way to really bring agents value to help get your business off to a strong start. And from a pricing standpoint, we keep it pretty low so that you can take advantage of all of our marketing collateral and really go after, and tell agents, stuff that they've never heard before. So I hope that helps to answer Charlie's question.
The one thing I would maybe add to that is, think about the generation of buyers we have today. In the United States, and I assume it's true in Canada, as of last year, millennials started to hit in the tipping point of the market, meaning over 50% of buyers were millennials. And I think a message like HomeBinder isn't necessarily novel. I mean, think about Alan working on this almost 20 years ago. We don't claim to have invented this idea. What we do think we're doing a pretty good job at is building a good platform for it. And I think Alec would say the same thing, that most home inspectors with a reasonable grasp on what we're doing, in a few sentences, agents start nodding their heads. We talk to a lot of agents directly. It's not a hard concept, because I think a lot of people have thought about it in some way, shape, or form, and then you can just build on that conversation to show how it's really relevant for the clients that they have today, but more importantly, as Alec was just touching on, important for their business.
Yeah, and I might just add to that as well that if you can solve problems for people, and sometimes the problems are front of mind and sometimes they're a little bit back burner, but when you hear the HomeBinder story and you hear the package, I think any common sense person sees the value, and the relationship building aspects for the real estate agent make it a terrific opportunity for home inspectors, and absolutely true of new inspectors, but also absolutely applicable for experienced inspectors. So I think it's a very sound process, very well thought out exercise. And that brings me to another question that we have here, and that's a question about the appliance recall alerts. And the question is, how does this compare to other recall services? Do people get the recalls through HomeBinder? Do they get a separate third-party report? How does that work?
Yeah,
so we do that, Alec.
Yeah, happy to take that question. So the appliance recall system is super straightforward. Essentially, once the maintenance or the appliance information is put into the binder, which hopefully, like Alan said, within a couple weeks we'll be able to do that from Horizon directly. A lot of the times inspectors will take snapshots, a quick picture of the data plate of the major appliances at the inspection, and our system has the ability to process those photos or typed in make and model numbers to enroll the client in the appliance recall alert platform within HomeBinder. Now, we don't send out emails over and over again saying you have no recalls, you have no recalls, because we know at the end of the day, when they have a real recall come up, they're just going to look past the message. So we keep all of the outbound correspondence at HomeBinder to be mission critical. So in the event that a recall does come up, it will notify them in two places. One, within their HomeBinder account, and then two, over email, where it lets them know what the problem is, specifically what to do to get it taken care of, and of course, which serial numbers apply to make sure that that recall does match for the appliance.
And to build off that, keep in mind that HomeBinder is there for life. So if the inspector chooses not to load, take the time to get that information, some inspectors will choose to just instruct their clients as to how to do it, knowing that many clients will swap out appliances in the first month in the home, and they'll buy new ones in the future. And they can keep adding those appliances a year later, 3 years later, and the same recall service would apply because it's part of premium HomeBinder, which of course, as we covered, is what you're providing your clients.
Yeah, we make it really easy for clients to take advantage of it. And a lot of inspectors do go that route. They're not taking pictures of every data plate, but when they do it, it typically is just the major appliances.
Yeah, and let me just reiterate that we touched on it at the beginning, but I don't think everybody had quite signed on, and so we've got a couple more questions on this. And I just wanted to repeat the news that we've been working together with HomeBinder and with our development team, and we should, within the next 2 weeks, have an automatic integration that transfers over not only the system and appliance inventory data, including make, model, and serial number, but also the title page photos straight into HomeBinder. So we're excited about that, and hopefully that'll save people a whole bunch of time and improve the experience all the way around.
It's great, Alan. Excited.
Yeah, very exciting news. Always great with developments coming down Horizon's pipeline. Now, John has a question here. And what is the cost to the homeowner for long-term access if there is one?
Sure. So there is no cost to the homeowner long-term for the product. If a homeowner signed up just off the street, they came to HomeBinder and signed up, it would cost them $2.99 a month, and they would have to keep paying $2.99 a month for the lifetime of their ownership if they wanted to have it. What you're buying as part of the monthly subscriptions that Alec outlined earlier is that product for the homeowner for the life of their home. Now, we've looked at a lot of different pricing models, and we know, and we'll be very upfront, that HomeBinder won't be for everybody. If you set up 100 customers with a HomeBinder account, we know there'll be a portion of them that for any number of reasons, they don't choose to buy the home. They don't think that technology is good for them. They won't take advantage of it. We've done our pricing so that you can universally offer it and market it to everybody. A portion will take advantage of it, and all of that is baked into the pricing. So there's really no future cost. We don't want to squeeze the customer after 12 months and say, okay, you've been on the product, not having to pay for it, now you have to pay for it. It was really clear early on when we launched this product in the inspection space 5 years ago that no inspectors liked the idea of that, and so we never brought it to bear. This is how we do it.
Perfect. I appreciate the explanation there. Another John, different one here, has a question about typical use for an inspector. Do you find that they use it on every inspection, or do they ask for it as like an add-on service, sort of piecemeal?
Alec, why don't you take that one? You deal with a lot of inspectors that really cover the whole spectrum, quite frankly, here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it certainly can be set up for whichever homes that you want. It's all totally in your control from the Horizon integration with the click of a button. The majority of our inspectors do set up a HomeBinder for pretty much all full home inspections, and some inspectors set them up for partial inspections. I don't see that quite as commonly, but pretty much any full inspection, a HomeBinder would be set up for the client. And the main reason is just from a cost standpoint, it doesn't really cost very much. So it makes sense to set it up for everybody so that everybody gets the value. And also importantly, that every agent that works with you on the inspection also gets the value. So that's what I would say in general is most inspectors are setting them up for full inspections and each and every one of the full inspections. But if you know that you're doing an inspection for a client that's 75 or 80 years old and they don't even have an email address, HomeBinder probably isn't the tool for them. So that might be an example of one you wouldn't click on the Create HomeBinder button. The other question that comes up is, does this work for commercial inspections? And we really are much more of a residential-based tool at this point. So most inspectors don't set up any type of commercial inspection with HomeBinder.
Okay, I had a couple of other questions that came in with a little bit of a Canadian focus, and one of them was about Repair Pricer, and I think I heard that Repair Pricer is available in Canada, and the question was, would the cost estimates be in US or Canadian dollars?
Sure. So the Repair Pricer is available across Canada. We could probably do a whole presentation just on Repair Pricer in and of itself, and if a lot of people are interested, Alan, we could certainly work towards making that happen at a future date because there's a lot there. But they do pricing based on geography. In fact, down to zip code level calibrated pricing. So it's taken them a bit of time, but now they're able to cover North America. The pricing for Repair Pricer is in US dollars, and that's largely because it's a fee that we pay them to be able to include Repair Pricer inside of HomeBinder as an add-on service. There's a number of models for that product, and as a point of reference, in street value, these reports would be $50 each. We know a lot of inspectors aren't able to and wouldn't want to pay $50 on every single inspection. So we've come up with some creative models where it allows the inspector to market that a repair price or report is available for every single one of the inspections they do. And by going through us, they pay a lot less than $50, actually only $14 per inspection to be able to offer that marketing tool. What we've found to be true over the last year working with Repair Pricer is that about 30 to 35% of people actually take the inspector up on that offer, and therefore the financial model works. And I know it can be a little bit confusing. I almost hesitate to even go down this path because unless we have ample time to do it. So Alec would, I'm sure love to get into the conversation with any one of you because it's being adopted so quickly across the country. But that's a way in which we've seen the value of taking a home inspection report and converting it into actionable knowledge, which is really exciting. That actionable knowledge gets loaded into HomeBinder as to-do projects and gives the agent a powerful tool to cut out a lot of time in their life for running around and getting estimates. And keep in mind, it's just a tool. It's not the end-all be-all or perfect solution. But if you come to it with the understanding that what Repair Pricer is going to do for the agents you work with is take away perhaps 2 to 2.5 days of running around getting quotes for things, and in 24 hours with no work, they maybe have anywhere from 80 to 100% of the answers they need. If they need to go get a cost for one specific item that's kind of thorny from a pro, they go ahead and do it. But otherwise, they have the answers they need to move forward. The transaction goes faster. They spend less time calling people and abusing relationships with home pros that they know they're calling for quotes that'll never get the work. It's really been a tremendous win, and I'm already talking more than I wanted to on this one, Alan, but as you can probably tell, Alec and I are big proponents of what they're doing and have seen great success with inspectors that have implemented it.
One just important thing to know, for anybody that wants to go into more detail on Repair Pricer, definitely best to just hop on a one-on-one. I can take a deep dive through all of that stuff. One other important thing to note related to Canada, for those of you that are in French, more prominent French-speaking areas in Canada, we do have our site translated in French. So for those of you that do have 90% or 50% plus, your clients can get HomeBinder in French.
That's perfect and good to know. And we did have a follow-on question to that, and that was about the Repair Pricer availability in French. Do we know if it's available in French?
As far as I know, they haven't yet added any other versions. I know French and Spanish are top of mind, top of list for them. We could circle back with them because I know they're improving their product every month, Alan, but that'd be a good one we could follow up and maybe get that answer even by that time the email goes out tomorrow to everybody.
Perfect. Hey, appreciate that a lot. A couple other questions here. We've got one from Steve here, and it's asking about a pre-listing inspection. So if they utilize the binder, would it be passed along to the purchaser as their own? Would the previous owner of the home still have access to the account, or basically is it completely transferred over with the basically the sale of the home again? How does that change of ownership, if you will, actually occur, or if it does at all?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's one we thought a lot about when building the system. So the way we constructed HomeBinder is that I have my private HomeBinder account for my home. If someone was to buy my home, I would select the information from my HomeBinder that I would want to share with them in a public-facing web page to help promote the sale of my home. And that information would go into a new binder for the new owner, and I would still retain my binder, and they would have a new binder on the same property with the information that came out of mine, and they would continue to build upon going forward. And that's important for a lot of structural and privacy reasons, but that's why we decided to do it that way. The follow-on question is, well, if they do that, what happens with that binder? Well, that binder has not yet been paid for, so the new owner, if the home inspector didn't offer them the ability to cover the cost of HomeBinder, they'd have to pay $299 a month if they wanted to keep using it, or they could just use the free version where presumably they really wouldn't be able to add much to their HomeBinder because it would have already maxed out on storage size. And hopefully that's something we start to see a lot more of in the coming years. In some areas like the state of Delaware, where we've been in that state in a pretty deep way for about 3 or 4 years, we're already starting to see that happen, where HomeBinders are starting to be transferred to new owners. And that's really exciting for us, because that's a core part of, as I said, from my founding story, why we got into it in the first place.
I appreciate the answer there, Jack, for that. I think everyone's going to be very eager to get on board. I got a question from Ben here, and he says, it seems as though this option may be better suited for sellers to promote pre-listing inspections. How would you leverage this to help from the buying end?
Yeah, so I would say, primarily, that's really what we are. We're on the buy side. I would estimate presently 85% of binders that are set up, maybe as high as 90%, are set up on the buy side of the transaction for new owners. What we're doing on that side, and part of the value proposition, as Alex said, was around the notion of maintenance reminders. And that's important for a couple of reasons. One, the idea of real estate agents, that's where the value comes in. It becomes a bit of a drip campaign that 6, 8, 10 times a year, the homeowner is getting a reminder about something important to do at their home: change an AC filter, sweep a chimney, clean the gutters, which keeps the real estate agent's name in front of them. But also keep in mind, going back to this idea of today's generation of home buyers, it's almost surprising how little the generation today knows about home management. I think a lot of it comes from very structured childhoods where every hour of every day was planned all the way through the weekend. I often say there wasn't a lot of puttering with dad around the house. As a result, things like a central air filter or a furnace filter that needs to be changed once a year, once a quarter, is lost. And what HomeBinder can do is start to help give those nudges on the buy side to help them, in that first year of ownership, like, oh, wow, I realized I had to do this particular task or item. And we try to set those up with the inspector to be appropriate for the area that they do work in. Where I live, that means private well testing every 4 or 5 years. That means pumping a septic tank every 3 years, as examples, so that the regionality is configured. And even some inspectors dial it up and do some specific maintenance tasks for these new buyers to make sure that they're off to a great start in their home ownership and don't squander this large asset that they just purchased. Does that answer the question around the buy side value?
I think so, definitely. And Ben, if you got a follow-up, just simply let us know in the chat. We can definitely ask that. I think Alan has another question here.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the time because I'm trying to be respectful that we're going to keep to an hour if we can. So we've got time for a little bit more back and forth. Jillian's presentation, I think, sort of prompted this question. And the question was, does HomeBinder help reduce the home inspector's liability in any way?
Sure, Jillian, take that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there's a certain degree of removal of liability by virtue of the fact that the client, by getting this HomeBinder with preloaded home pros, preloaded maintenance tasks, the rapport that's being built with the client is even greater. So let's take 2 examples of that same plumbing issue that comes up. You have a plumbing issue with a client who didn't come to the inspection, did not have good expectations set, and has a problem. You're just an inspector who was the last man out, and you have to deal with it. Or you have an inspector that has a plumbing issue with a client who had the client expectations set because there's more communication prior to the inspection due to HomeBinder. They receive a free gift as a thank you for choosing that inspection company, which says the inspector's very invested in the client, and then there's a problem. Well, you've already made deposits in that relationship, so you're allowed to make a little bit of a withdrawal. And the perception from the majority of sane people, because I have to qualify that, there are some people out there that no matter what you do, they would be a problem. But for the majority of reasonable people, they say, you know what, this guy is really doing a great job and he's offered all these benefits to me at no additional charge. And I'm going to bring this to his attention, but I'm doing it within the confines of this rapport that I feel I've built with this person in his office.
I would add one more thing, and it's a great answer, Jillian. I'm going to build off the Home Pro thing for just a second, Alan, and this is probably something that, you know, if you and I got together, we could talk a lot about. The number one people or group of folks that generally throw inspectors under the bus are the home service professionals. I can't tell you about how many first-degree examples I have of people I know where they move into the house and within a few weeks they have a problem, and a home professional comes out, a plumber, electrician, a handyman, and the first thing that home service professional does is say, man, I cannot believe your inspector didn't catch this. Not knowing, frankly, anything about really what the inspection process is other than it exists, but not really understanding the scope. We've been advocating a lot for getting a cadre, a stable, whatever word you want to use, of home service professionals that you trust, and load them into HomeBinder and make them educated as to what a home inspection is, and make those the first line of defense that hopefully your customers will call, because those guys will not behave that way and then create a cascading waterfall effect that could come back to you. Just one example that I see come up more often than not, and I do see it, you know, a lot of evidence of HomeBinder kind of stepping in by the nature of what it's doing, trying to build a little ecosystem there of the home inspector, the homeowner, and the home professional, all rowing in the same direction as opposed to fighting each other and proverbially hurting each other. Alan, do you see some of that as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's all too familiar. And it does bring up a question that came in about, what if I share a pro that I want to remove down the road? How do I do that?
That is an awesome question, and I'm really happy to have the answer I do. We spent a good portion of 2018 building the infrastructure so that a lot of things happen both with agents and with home pros. These two examples will give you a sense about the work we put into HomeBinder. If an agent goes into their profile, or you on their behalf, and changes a picture, a photo, a phone number, an email, instantly that information changes across every single binder that they ever touched, and will be set up that way on all binders going forward. In the case of home professionals, you load them into your template. They get distributed into all the binders that you set up. And if you decide that that particular pro is misbehaving and you go into your account and delete them, provided the homeowner hadn't actually used them, they will be ripped out of every single binder as a referred pro, going backwards in time and of course forwards in time. That wasn't a trivial task. It took us a lot of work to do, but it's a great question because that was one of the big hangups of inspectors. Didn't want to go on that journey with us, take that step with us, because of that lack of ability not to be able to do what I just said. And I'm happy to say that it works just that way today.
Thank you for the follow-up on that, Jack. You know, I hate to say it as we are nearing that 9 o'clock marker, that as time draws near, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, especially as the holiday is coming up tomorrow. We do have quite a few questions still remaining. I was going to ask maybe one or two for more of you, Jack, and the HomeBinder crew, if you will. And then for everyone that we haven't been able to address this evening, what I've done is I've written down all of your questions. I've got your name, we have your contact information, and I'm going to be providing that to Jack and Alec, and as well as Jillian, so they're going to be able to address these questions directly with you. So anything that you didn't get your name called and you didn't get an answer to your question, I assure you these questions will be forwarded along to HomeBinder. and they will be able to follow up with you directly on those. Does that sound fair, Jack and Alan?
Yeah, that sounds great. And please don't drop off the call just yet. After we get through these 2 questions, we're going to do that drawing, the random drawing that Brian's going to put together to get a free year of HomeBinder, and we're excited to give that to somebody.
Excellent.
Absolutely happy to help all you guys. No problem.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. All right, so 2 last questions to round things off. John's question, and first is marketing materials are provided, right, with HomeBinder?
Al, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So two great things to announce with marketing materials. So number 1 is that every HomeBinder subscription holder, so each and every one of our inspector customers, will get a whole suite of marketing materials. We also have a lot of stuff to help you with how to best use your marketing materials. So we're not going to leave you to your own devices to figure it out on your own. And we can get all of those marketing materials customized for you so that it has your logo, your brand on it. So when you go to an office meeting with an agent, or you go to an inspection and you're giving a flyer out to the client, everything is all branded with your logo. We have everything from client flyers to agent flyers, videos for clients, scripts and email templates, videos that you can put on your website, some additional website collateral. We've got repair pricer collateral. Everything on the marketing front's done for you, and there's no extra cost for it. It's all built into your subscription.
Thank you so much.
And briefly, in addition to that, you'll have an opportunity to have some one-on-one marketing best practices training, sometimes with me personally, or if you prefer, you'll have videos that are about 3 minutes in length that you can click on for specific advice, whether it's speaking to agents that you know or speaking to agents that you don't know, doing a group presentation, and I actually role play for you exactly what I recommend that you say.
Really helps inspectors out a lot to do that stuff.
Excellent. I really appreciate the answer there. And one last question here, and that question is from Robert. And just clarifying, I want to make sure everyone's aware, this is not sent in place of the home inspection report, right? This would be a supplement to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very true. So yes, the home inspection report will be loaded into HomeBinder, and the homeowner will get a link. They can log into their HomeBinder and get access to their home inspection report. Most inspectors choose to, in addition to setting up the HomeBinder and loading in the inspection report, is also delivering the inspection report as you do today, typically via an email as an attachment or a link. There are some inspectors that are moving over to only deliver the inspection report through HomeBinder, which of course has a direct effect on how many people go in and start to access the system. We ultimately just want to do what's best for your business, and so Alec and Jillian really coach everybody as to what's the right way to begin the process. We don't want to become a disruption or distraction, causing administrative headaches for you or your clients in any way, shape, or form. That's really what we want to be sensitive about when we first deploy it. But there's the whole spectrum of options available as people go forward.
Thank you so kindly for that. And folks, at this point in time, we've wrapped up our Q&A. But again, just to reinforce, every question that has not been answered will be provided to HomeBinder. You're going to get a response direct from Jack, Alec, or Jillian. So I assure you, your questions will be addressed in due time. Now, I did, while everyone was going and speaking, run through all of the attendees. We put them into a random name generator, and we have drawn one lucky winner for the year of HomeBinder. And although I do not have a drum, I'm going to hit on my desk and pretend. And the good old winner is David Foley. So David Foley.
All right, David.
So David, I know that I'm going to be forwarding your information to HomeBinder as well, but I'm sure they'll be reaching out in short order to speak to you and help you get set up with HomeBinder. And again, thank you so much, Jack and Alec and Jillian, for offering that. That's really fantastic of you. And Alan, do you have anything you'd like to sort of say at the end here?
I would just like to say thanks to everybody who took time out of their Thursday evening, and I know everybody's lives are busy, to the HomeBinder crew. Great job. That was a ton of information in 60 minutes, kind of like drinking from a fire hose. So appreciate the information and the participation. And
you're very welcome
for being the quarterback.
Yeah, big thanks to you, Brian, and I second that to everybody who attended tonight. I, as a dad of 2 young kids, I know every night is busy, and I really appreciate your time tonight. Brian, thanks to you for doing such a great job coordinating this. Alan, thank you for your kind words of encouragement, and we just can't wait to get this integration done with you over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you guys for presenting so well. We love to hear about HomeBinder. We really appreciate your insights into dealing with disgruntled customers, Jillian. And stay tuned, folks. We've got a lot of cool developments, and we're going to have an updated integration in the coming weeks. We'll have more to come in our newsletter. At this point, guys, I'm going to say good night, God bless, and I hope everyone has a fantastic holiday coming up. Thank you for choosing Horizon. Thank you for your interest in HomeBinder, and we hope to see you in our next presentation.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, folks.
Good night, everyone.